Alright, what's going on interwebs? It's Midweek update, and it's been a crazy week. I'm sure you all know by now how insane the media is and all that. As much as I don't like to talk anything about her, because I think it's bad to prop her up, even if it's negative or positive, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, good lord, the human gaff machine, says that she believes, not only believes, fully knows that the world is going to end in 12 years because of climate change and everything. She says we have to do something now. We have to just pour money into this situation. I hate to inform her that if the world's going to end in 12 years, nothing we do now would possibly even remotely help that situation. So I don't know where she's getting her information, but God, it's a toxic source. But we'll move on from that because it's just she's too loony for me to keep on talking about her. Well, the Covington Catholic High School, that whole fiasco that wasn't a bunch of high school kids wearing MAGA hats going around doing some sightseeing in Washington. Got accused of harassing a Native American, Mr. Nathaniel Phillips, who's a far left activist that has a lengthy track record of causing these exact situations. That's his MO. Go up and indeed he goes up and harasses people and tries to get them to say anything that can be used against him. It's his fault. This whole situation was his fault. It's ridiculous. And I don't think we should, they were, Nathaniel Phillips, the Native American guy, was up there for Indigenous People Days. Well, I hate to tell him, Native Americans aren't indigenous. They need to look up their history on the world and everything. There used to be Bering Land Bridge. That's where the Native Americans came from. They're not from here either. They did exactly what Europeans did. They migrated. Hate to break it to them. But, yeah. So he goes up and he's banging a drum. These boys were just standing there in a group waiting for a bus. And he goes up and bangs a drum in their face. I'm surprised the kids didn't act worse because they had the Black Israelites, which is a hate group. I think even the Southern Poverty Law Center, I think they even have them listed as a hate group. And they just accosted these kids for I don't know how long, calling them all the horrible names, this, that, and the other, but the media and the left don't seem to want to point that out too much. They don't seem to have much of an opinion on that at all. So it's okay to be bigoted and racist and vile towards white people, which the Covington group was a multiracial group. It wasn't just white kids. I'd like to point that out. And the things that those the Black Israelites were saying to the black kids that were in that group were horrific. They should be ashamed. I mean, ashamed ain't the word for it. I don't know what you would say about that whole situation. That's just ludicrous. Those people are crazy, absolutely insane. But they have freedom of speech. But some speech just shouldn't be spoke out of respect. You know, a lot of people don't seem to get that. That even though all speech is free, you should compose yourself in a way where you're not saying ridiculously horrible things. But yeah, Turns out the whole story was completely false. The media had everything exactly backwards, which they normally do because they don't seem to know what journalism is anymore. They don't seem to know how to do their job. When the internet people have to call you out, and you're a mainstream legacy media giant, you might need to reassess what you're doing and how you're doing it. Don't just try to spin a story when there's video evidence that what you're spinning is completely wrong, and then it takes days to say maybe we got the story wrong. Bad journalism. Bad everything. But we'll move on from that. The shutdown is in, I believe, day 33 now, which I don't care. It's not affecting me. It's not affecting anybody I know. It affects a small handful of people whose jobs are really ancillary. They're not needed. The only people that I wish were still working would probably be the people at the national parks. But in true American fashion, regular old citizens have started going to these parks, cleaning them up, and maintaining them. Not just parks, but the National Mall and all that stuff. All the landmarks. It doesn't have to be parks. But yeah, so Americans are stepping up, as we should. Federal government's already way too big for its own good. You're seeing through the shutdown that it's just eating itself up right now. So, like I said, it could go on forever. It could go on for 1,000 years. I wouldn't care. I think this should show, what's happening with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and just the left in general shows that our system is messed up really bad. Democrats, I'd like to say they changed the way their party is, but they haven't really changed because they're still the party of leftist, racist, bigots, just horrible people. They've never changed. The racism's just on white people now instead of black people and minorities. There's nothing different about them. Old Democrats want to say, oh, it's changed so much. No, it hasn't. This is how that party's always been. They just shifted their focus on a different skin color. The left is horrible. But yeah, there's no end in sight because Nancy Pelosi refuses any of Trump's compromises. The last one should have been a home run for them. They should have seen that as, okay, now we've gotten somewhere. We've gotten somewhere really good. He was going to, for 3 more years, keep DACA or keep a big portion of DACA recipients. For 3 more years, they would have had all that stuff. They threw that under the bus. I don't really know what they're thinking. Yeah, I really don't know what they're thinking. I don't think even a lot of the people in their own party know what they're thinking. All this over a border wall that they have all voted for before. Like I've said in previous videos, there's so many video evidence of them saying the same exact stuff that Trump has said about the border security and border walls. Why has it changed? It's because they know their voter base is starting to dwindle. The only people that really are on the Democratic side, from what I can see, are old, fairly old, 50s and 60s people that are just too ignorant to realize how toxic the left is becoming. And I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying on these points, they just don't know. They constantly watch leftist run news, so they always think that there's something bad about the right, and there's nothing about the right that's really bad there. You have you can't even call what the media and everybody calls the far right, the white nationalist scum, the type. But You can't even call them right, like on the right, because if you listen to them, they're more on the left than they are. Their viewpoints, their political viewpoints, are more on the left than they are the right. It doesn't make any sense. I think the only reason they'll put on a MAGA hat and all that is just to get attention to themselves, because they're so few and far between. But who cares about them? I mean, they are worthless. Any racial, superiority group, they're a bunch of cunts, to put it like blunt. No one's better than anybody just because of skin tone or where you come from or anything like that. It's your morals and your values and how you present yourself is what makes you who you are. But yeah. So Nancy Pelosi refuses to listen to anything that Trump has to say just because it's Trump. Essentially, that's what it boils down to. Everyone keeps saying, oh, this is Trump's shutdown. Yeah, he started it. He's the one who said, yep, I'm shutting down the government until we can come up with compromise. But he's been the only one trying to compromise in any way. Which is, that's not how compromises work. It takes two. We'll move on from that. Attacks on U.S. troops increase very strange, very, very oddly. Since Trump announced his withdrawal from Syria. You notice that? Anybody else notice that? How the Middle East has just sparked up after Trump said we want to withdraw. He wants us to withdraw from Syria. And all the neocons and warmongers, which, oddly enough, the left seem to be on the warmonger side too. Because now they're for staying in all these places that we shouldn't be. We're not accomplishing anything else there. We've done what we could do. It's time to get our boys home. But I just find it strange that all these attacks are happening after Trump wanting to withdraw. And all the neocons up there in Washington saying, oh, good Lord, no, we can't do that, blah, 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 because they love the war machine. That's a big flaw. But those are neocons. I don't consider them regular conservatives at all. A lot of neocons are kind of have globalistic views, so they're no good. And one that, this is brand new story. I think it was breaking today or yesterday. New York makes all trimester abortions illegal. Now, I'm pro-life. It's a baby, However you look at it, it's a baby. If you don't want to have a baby, I understand that when a woman is sexually assaulted, I don't like it. I don't like the thought of an abortion, but that's the only way I can really see it making any sense. For anybody else, your body, your rights is kind of a stupid saying, because you let someone else into your body and then you were irresponsible with your body. Come on. Just be responsible. There's many birth control methods. Use them. That's all. Just use them. There's so many statistics on how damaging mentally, psychologically, abortions are for the woman that gets them. It's a major cause for depression later on. These women that are all pro-abortion, I don't think they do any research on opposing views of why we think it's wrong. I think they're just so jazzed up in their own craziness that they refuse to see anything else. That kind of is how the whole left acts about everything. If it's not their view, they don't care. They don't want to hear it. They refuse to hear it. And the few that do listen often change their mind about things. Just saying. But yeah, so what New York is doing, I think it's criminal. It's disgusting. I mean, you're saying a baby that's now a baby that's 2 weeks from being born can be aborted if the woman just doesn't want it. That's murder. That's a human being. They're hearing, they can listen, they react to stimuli. I mean, come on. These people have no hearts. And they don't have much of a mind either. But, unless anything real poignant becomes breaking news today, that's my midweek update. Y'all take care. Have a good day. And I will catch y'all on the flip side.